Hi there. Tonight I'm going to talk about a documentary I watched called The Psychology of an Incel. And it is part of the mainstream media. I only stumbled upon it, you know, in the last few days. And I really do hate the term incel because then it associates it with, radicalism, uh, very disreputable human beings, and just this whole culture they're trying to make out of it. And incel is just a shortened term of involuntary celibate, and you don't have a choice when you're an involuntary celibate. But if you're going in with the culture of incel and things like that, you do have a choice. And that's something people can't take away from you, even though they'll try. And the video was about a young man named Alec Manessian. Had to look that up, how to pronounce his name. Because, I don't know how to pronounce his name otherwise. Anyway, to give a brief summary, he was diagnosed with Asperger's when he was younger. Sounds like a doctor made up term to me, an excuse to give people medications. And so there's that. He became what was known as a hardcore gamer, as he described himself. I would assume that means first-person shooters, like Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, that kind of stuff, I suppose. He would later try to join the military, basic training, to have access to guns. He failed, wasn't able to do that. And then he stumbles upon this channel called 4chan, this YouTube channel, not YouTube channel, this whatever platform that was, whatever forum that was. And Asperger's, from what I gather, is essentially simply a stupid person who's a bit clumsy and socially awkward. And, that's they say it's a syndrome and things like that, but I don't entirely believe it. They think it's a lesser form of autism, and like I said, it sounds like an excuse to pump somebody out with medications. And you ask yourself, how did that idiot find something in the deep dark web? Supposedly he talked to Elliot Rodger, another self-proclaimed incel douchebag who went on his own killing spree. And, I don't believe any of that. I think the dark web found him. And I think it was crawling with bureaucrats. Because we like to think that, government officials are there for the best interest of people as a whole. And in some cases they are, but in a lot of cases they're not. Alec Manessian would never have compiled his whole belief system had it not been for this dark web finding him. And that is shadow government type bullshit. That is a reality, but they try and make it sound like it's a preposterous thing. And it really isn't. It's just a bunch of jackasses who make government wages, who are bad guys in their own right, except they do it differently. And they're very manipulative and very controlling. And obviously that's what they were doing to this Alec Manessian. They groomed him. Now, I'm not going to go as far to say as they taught him to do what he did and do exactly the way they wanted him to do it. But I will say they created a state for him where he was isolated. He didn't hear many voices talking to him because, hearing voices isn't a crazy thing. That's called talking to people. That's called thinking. They like to say that, if you hear voices, you're crazy. No, if I hear words out of somebody's mouth, that's called hearing a voice. It's not. It's like, fuck off. yeah, so, I believe that part of the reason the dark web exists is because of outside forces, as far as outside of the country, because there's a lot of disreputable people who are in power. And I don't just mean Donald Trump. I mean, there are plenty of other bad people out there who are in positions of power. And it's all about the wheel of evil that, just keeps perpetuating. And Alec Manassian was not an intelligent man. He could have been talked out of it. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. And, the only blame seems to be put on him. And I'm saying there's plenty of blame to go around. These people who run the country are incompetent. And they don't like to admit they're ever incompetent. And they certainly would never apologize for being incompetent. And, someday, hopefully they won't be incompetent anymore and they can actually do their jobs proper. I don't know. We'll have to see. I despise the term involuntary celibate, but that is what I'm called. And that is the reality of who I am as a person. I don't get to go with women. There are no women around. And I don't think that's my fault at all. I think I'm simply just too good looking. I think that's the real issue. And that there are women who are bad people, who are bureaucrats, who are able to create this system of perpetual abuse. And they were doing it to him. He had nothing going for him. So I don't know how much use Alec Manassian had, but, he's in a mental asylum for the rest of his life. So he's got the being a guinea pig aspect to him, I suppose. Yeah, it's not an easy subject to talk about, and not one I enjoy talking about. I'd like to get on with my life, but, other people see things differently, and they're obsessive compulsive, and there's no way of changing their minds, and I don't even have the time to explain to them why they're wrong, because they usually run off. And, yeah, it's just creepy. Very fucking creepy. That, there are people out there that think they can just manipulate and control, and, they'll get what they want in the end. And as soon as they have a mindset about an individual or a group of people or whatever, that it's cast in stone and they'll never change their minds about it, and they'll continue being assholes, and you never see their faces, never know their names, don't know anything about them. Because they're sleazy, cowardly shadows. That's what they are. They're despicable. And, Alec Manassian, I ain't got no sympathy for him. I mean, if you assuming he didn't do anything bad before that, then yes, you could have sympathy for the guy. But after he did what he did, then no. And, I'm going to make this video a bit shorter than I normally do, because, I don't know what they want from me. I don't know. But, I'm, deeply concerned because there's a lot of people out there that can't be trusted. And going to the internet and talking about it is a very difficult thing to do. But anyway, I think the psychology of an incel is definitely worth watching. But, don't associate all involuntary celibates with all that garbage. Because there's plenty of them out there that, there's nothing wrong with them. And I don't even mean guys that, don't get action for a while. And that's not the same as being an involuntary celibate. That simply means they're not getting action for a while, for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe they work in a mine up north or something and there's no women around. They chose to do that. Yeah, so anyway, gonna leave it at this. That documentary is worth watching. It's on YouTube. It's mostly an interrogation. The detective looks like one sleazy looking fucking bastard, I gotta admit. From what you see of him in the back of his head and the way how he talks. Wouldn't trust that guy with a bucket of KFC. Anyway, talk to you people later.